Crumpet. Espresso. Crumpet. Espresso.
Welcome in another edition of Crumpet Espresso and maybe a few other things today. Previewing soccer over there and down there and around there and all over the world on a very busy weekend coming up in the game. I'm Jason Longshore. The cast of thousands will be contributing here in just a bit. The big game everyone is looking at this weekend, obviously Manchester City and Liverpool at Anfield. Huge opportunity for Liverpool to solidify themselves as the title favorites. Huge opportunity for Manchester City to throw the race into absolute chaos. We'll get into that. Big match between Bayern Munich and Dortmund in Germany as well. Two teams that have not had the same level of success that they are accustomed to. It's a different type of Der Klassiker than maybe we're used to in Germany. We'll get into that. We'll get into the big match in England in the Premier League. We'll get into all the latest from Italy. We'll get into the latest from South America as well. But we're going to start off with a new contributor to Crumpets and Espresso, and we'll throw a little bit of Scotland in the mix from Jarrett Smith.
Do you know what Iron Brew is?
We interrupt this broadcast of Crumpets, and I don't know, whatever the hell Nick's serving up on the Italian side of things. We're going to pop open an Iron Brew, y'all. Let's talk about Scotland for a minute because, well, that's what we're here for, isn't it? Scotland's been an interesting place for a long time now when it comes to soccer. It's just always been down there on the coefficient level. You've had some talent come out of there, nothing consistent, and fans watch that national team with a worrying similarity that the U.S. fans are kind of getting into. No, USA fans are not in as dire a shape as Scotland fans were. They see the sheet come out of, these guys have been called up, and it's just this deep, heavy sigh of, oh, God, we have to deal with this for 2 weeks, or a week plus, don't we, before we get back to league games. Because you still get people go watch and support Scotland, just doesn't have the same money in it. Now, one of the big stories that it hit with Forbes, and haven't really seen it take off the same way, assuming you're listening to this on Thursday. Well, Rangers should be back on the field, should be taking on Porto, who they just pulled a draw in Porto a couple weeks ago in one of the best nights of European football for Scotland in a long time. Rangers goes to Porto and gets a draw. Lazio comes to Celtic Park, and Celtic beats them 2-1. They fall behind early, come back late with a Julian header to pick up the win at Celtic Park, and now Celtic sits top of their group. Rangers in good shape to advance as well. And it's exactly what Scotland needs. It's exactly what they need to get the coefficient up, and it's exactly what they need for the influx of cash. That's especially true for a Rangers team where it looks like the financials might not be in as good a shape as everybody wants them to be. For a club that was taken apart less than a decade ago, Rangers, a team that is had to rebuild itself, and now that they're kind of back here, they're spending money, but it looks like, according to the Forbes article, the financials that came out, and it was a Friday news drop. Call it what it is with Rangers. They dropped the financials at like 5:45 on a Friday, I believe, or right before a match, excuse me. It was a drop of $11 million in the hole, and them suggesting they're going to need finances, an influx of cash and a shot in the arm, so to speak, to keep things in good shape. They're not the only team to have this problem. Hearts had this problem. A number of teams flirted with administration. Rangers is just the one that cracked a home run when it came to administration. And speaking as a person who is a Celtic fan, it was never good for Scottish football. We don't need a league that is dominated by Celtic, who's already outspending everybody by an absurd number. But you don't need it to be a one-team league. And it's not healthy for the league. It's not healthy financially. Rangers is going to get an influx of money, hopefully from Europa League and hopefully down the road from sales as well, but they haven't gotten that. You look at what Celtic has done recently, and they've got 8 titles in a row. They've got the treble, won nine trophies in a row. trying to go for more. In fact, you have a cup final coming up between Rangers and Celtic that will surely be a really fun matchup because you had Rangers dominate the last game last year of league play. Celtic still wins the league title, but Rangers a really impressive performance. And now you have Neil Lennon, who, for all of his faults, has never you can't really accuse him of not having his teams ready for big games, especially in Europe. But when they played Rangers earlier this season, it looked like he was living rent-free in Steven Gerrard's head. Scott Brown's been trying to live free in Rangers' heads for years and has made himself an antagonist that many American athletes could only dream of being. That being said, Rangers hasn't generated that same the same flow of cash we've seen from Celtic with the sale of a guy like Kieran Tierney. Christoph Ayer now might get sold to Swansea and Brendan Rodgers, which is something most Celtic fans won't really want to hear, but that's how you keep things moving. Celtic has not made Champions League in a couple of years, but they've been able to keep things going by being that club, knowing what they are, that they're going to grow homegrown talents like Kieran Tierney and move them on down the road. And they're going to flip it for a profit. They're going to find guys like Christoph Ayer, who they signed for less than £1 million, and they're going to flip him. And you've seen, I believe, the Daily Record had it at $20 million. I don't think you're going to get that for him. But even if you get, $10 million, that's a great rate of return, and they're just going to go get another young player and turn that profit. Odsonne Edouard, in a year or two, probably going to be that next striker, similar to what Moussa Dembele did when he left Celtic. But Rangers, let's get back to them on this, have not been able to generate that kind of cash flow and in danger of going right back where they were. And it's just going to be the salt in the open wound, too, is if they're unable to break this run of Celtic getting to 9 and then 10 in a row. To see Rangers possibly go back into administration would be salt in a wound in a way that phrase does not really do justice what it would mean for Rangers fans, and I think in a negative way how it would impact Scotland as a whole. Now, their performances this year in the Europa League, they're both very positive because what you're dealing with in that instance is two clubs who are getting the coefficient up and moving in a positive direction. Right now, you've got one team with one shot at Champions League. You've got, I believe, 3 teams with a shot at Europa League. Aberdeen crashed out in their attempt for Europa League. If you were keeping up with John Gallagher, he was playing in some of those Europa League qualifier clashes. But Celtic and Rangers doing well in Europa League, it's good for the country to try and crawl their way back in, maybe get another team at least in an early round of qualifiers for Champions League. Hell, go to Gibraltar and play a game. Brendan Rodgers certainly didn't mind when he went and lost because a policeman scored a goal. But Rangers' financial situation, not ideal at all. We'll expand on it later when more information comes out. But right now, it doesn't look pretty, and it's not great for Scottish football, no matter how many titles in a row that means for Celtic. So let's get it back to Crumpets. Let's get it back to, I don't know, Nick, you got some good wine out in Italy. Send me some wine. Iron Brew is empty. Back to y'all.
Espresso.
Hey, it's the Garlic Bread Warlord, Nick Leafy. Jason, what are you doing, man? What's going on? What's happening with all this? You're chopping, you're selecting, you're remixing. It's like a 90s barbershop record that you're putting together here.
It's Malakia. It's Malakia. 100% Malakia.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, it's espresso, crumpets, espresso, mate, barbecue, dinner, Brunswick stew from Virginia, whatever you guys want to call it. It's happening right now. And if you have not yet purchased one of our fantastic, stylish, amazing scarves, my friends, I think this Tuesday it's going to get down to like 20-something degrees. And you're going to need something stylish and warm. And to showcase that you are a part of the greater soccer universe. Are you part of the greater soccer universe? You should be. Get one of our scarves. It's like $20. Come and join us at the Brew House for soccer over there. Pick one up, say hi, jump on a mic, rant about whatever you want to rant about, at least when it comes to soccer. And it's going to make it. We're not going to edit you out. Come on and join us. Saqib's up there. He's got fantastic food. He's got fantastic drinks. John's there, Jason's there, I might be there, come on there. Anyway, this weekend, games that you need to pay attention to, Napoli versus Genoa. Why is this one going to be great? I mean, Nick, it's Napoli and Genoa. Why should anyone watch this? Why should we be watching Serie A in general at this point? Well, here's why. There is an old school principle in Italy where if you suck as a team and you have very poor results, the ownership of the team will demand that you all retreat and lock yourselves away at the training ground, right? You stay at a hotel, you're not going home, you're not hanging out with your wife, your girlfriend, whoever. You're not doing any of that. All you're doing is focused on training to improve results. Well, Aurelio De Laurentiis tried to do this with the Napoli side after a string of poor results, and the team mutinied. The team said, no, forget it, we're going home. We're not dealing with any of this crap. And allegedly, Carlo Ancelotti backed their play, which is now putting the De Laurentiis group into a weird position because, look, if there's one person out there you don't really want to mess with, it's De Laurentiis. And he's threatening legal action now, saying that essentially this is jeopardizing the team and their ability to market the team, to generate revenue from the team, a whole laundry list of grievances that this guy's putting out there. So it's an absolute soap opera, and I want to see what's going to happen. So tomorrow, 2:45 p.m., Napoli-Genoa. This is going to be the first game after this mutiny. And there's rumors already circulating that Carlo Ancelotti may be on his way out. If so, one of the reasons is that Ancelotti, outside of this retreat rebellion, is that Ancelotti appointed his son David as an assistant coach, and that coach has not been well received by the team. So there's a lot of buffoonery taking place, to put it in a PC radio-friendly term, and this is a team that's imploding, and this is a team that really the window is now closing on. If you look now, they are in 7th in the table. This is a team that was prior, in the top 4, and it's been just an epic collapse. So how far will Napoli fall? What do we need to keep an eye on? Well, just look at the effort in this game. See how quickly it falls apart? Watch Carlo's reactions, and then you can quickly move on to Juve in Milan. That's also at 2:45. What's going to make this interesting is that there are rumors that Gattuso may be in the wings and that Pioli may already be on his way out. This is a Milan side that's in absolute freefall. When you look back at last season, at what Gattuso was able to do, he looks like a miracle worker now that he had this team essentially a couple games out from a Champions League spot. You name it. This team needs it. So they might as well blow the whole team up and start from scratch. But Juve versus Milan, that's going to be at 2:45 on Sunday. Okay, Sunday at 2:45. Don't edit that out. Leave it in there. All right, I demand accuracy in all of my reporting, and if I make a mistake, I own it. I put it out there. 2:45 Sunday, be there. Another game on Sunday to watch would be Parma and Roma. Roma, their books are a disaster, but they're trying to maintain a Champions League spot. Zaniolo is the person you need to watch. This guy's electric. I think he's a future World Player of the Year. And I'm not saying that just because he's Italian. I'm saying it because this kid is electric, and you absolutely need to check it out. Plus, they have the freshest uniforms in all of Europe, in my opinion. They have like the David Bowie Lightning Bolt kit. That's the away kit. And then they have the sweet blue collared kits. That's their third uniform. And always the classic, almost a crimson red home jersey, which is also very, very, very fine, and you should check it out as well. So that is going to be Sunday at noon. La Liga-wise, this league has, for all the years we've complained that La Liga has been a nightmare, that there's only one team running away with everything. It's two teams and everyone else. Well, guys, there's no excuse on that this year. All right, you have Barcelona 22 points, Real Madrid 22 points, Real Sociedad 22 points, Atletico 21, Sevilla 21, Granada 20, Getafe at 19, Villarreal at 18, Osasuna at 18, and Atletico Bilbao at 17. Guys, there's like 3 more teams at 17 below that. Eibar in 14th with 15 points. Guys, this league is absolutely on fire. And of course, yes, you can only watch it on BN. And I know that you have to jump through hoops and sacrifice a chicken and shake chicken bones in a bowl in order to find where you can get BN. I understand that. But if you get Fanatis, I'm just telling you guys, I held off for a while, and now I'm fully converted. You can get BN, you can get Argentina, you can get some Colombian action in there as well. It is well worth the investment. Get it done. But I'm just throwing that out there. It's a league to watch. It's going to be very exciting. Barcelona versus Celta Vigo. That's going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m. And then have yourselves a great time with Atletico Madrid and Espanyol, and that's going to be Sunday at 10. So that's going to lead you up into this wonderful, wonderful weekend. Eibar versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid is a team that, they have a lot of internal troubles right now. Gareth Bale says he's out. He wants to leave. He's put on a show previously. If I don't know how Zidane is keeping this thing going, but somehow he is. If you want to watch Real Madrid in action versus Eibar, you can watch that at 12:30 tomorrow. Ligue 1. Oh, yeah. Oh God, I can't even muster up like any sort of motivation for this league. I'm sorry. PSG, they're cruising, 27 points at the top of the table. Angers is at 20 below them. Nantes is below them at 19. Marseille at 19 below them. There's a little bit of excitement there in the top four. PSG is likely to drop points against bums. We know that, and they are playing. I shouldn't say bums, but they're playing ninth place Brest at the moment. That's going to be at 11:30 tomorrow. So there you go. That's the action that you need to pay attention to right there. And look, we all know that there is the premier super mega match, the Thunderdome of the Premier League is happening with Liverpool and Man City. We all know that's happening in the Prem in England. But just if you're looking for other action outside the Prem, there you go. That little rant, that little thing. I have a new team to add to my blank U list, and that's Brescia. They completely go off the rails here. And again, it's this week in racism with Italy, where the Brescia Ultras have turned their backs on their own player, Mario Balotelli, and sided with the Hellas Verona Ultras, who racially abused Mr. Balotelli. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Mario, Booby, just come to MLS. There's tremendous marketing opportunities here for you. The U.S. fans will love you. We do not racially abuse players here. We do not play that trash. You, my friend, would be more than welcome. All right, you can come. You can wear the "Why Always Me" shirts. You can drive your Ferrari at 137 miles an hour through downtown Miami. No one will bat an eye. You can go shopping on your own. No one's going to harass you. You can come here to Atlanta and it's going to be amazing. 70,000 plus people in the seats. We know how to put on a show here in the United States, my friend. Get out of that trash pit and come here and party and secure the bag, Mario. Secure the bag. All right? DP money. It's there for you. Okay? And if you are a player in MLS right now who is looking to secure your bag, the best way to do it is not by popping your mouth off on Twitter or to the media, but let your agent do the talking. Let your agent do the talking. Keep those hands clean, my friends. Keep those hands clean. If you have any questions, you can hit me up. All right? DM me on Twitter, MLS Players. We'll talk PR strategies. We'll have a big time. Until then, the strategy that you, my fellow listeners, need to get on with is getting on Teespring and getting a hold of these wonderful, wonderful SDH assembly line of finery that we have out there. We have sweatshirts, we have T-shirts, and guys, what we're going to do with this money that we make is going to be so stupid and so over the top. It's going to blow your minds. So buy the gear. Plus, you're going to look really good doing it, right? We have the Panqueques shirt out there. It's amazing. Get it. Until then, love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate this so much. Mucho Euro, y'all. Secure your bag. How about that? Secure your bag.
Mate.
We'll get into the mate section of the show now and take a trip down to South America. Some interesting rumors popping up, not just in Argentina this time, but we'll get there in a second. We talked about it on Soccer Down here today. Players out of Colombia being linked with juicy offers to come to Major League Soccer. Germán Cano is out of contract at Independiente Medellin, 31 years old. He scored a boatload of goals for Independiente Medellin in recent years. Would be available on a free at the end of the year, and would be a player that Felipe Cárdenas of The Athletic said that teams have made moves for him before they couldn't get the deal done. Now, if you're not dealing with a pesky transfer fee, maybe there's an MLS team that might be interested in Senor Cano. A lot of goals this season. Didn't play much in the second half of the year, and Independiente Medellin missed out on the playoffs in Colombia. So keep an eye there. Another rumor that's been making the rounds as of today, kind of playing off of previous rumors, is Marcelo Gallardo and his future at River Plate in Argentina. He has a Copa Libertadores final to look forward to against Flamengo, and that will be in Peru, not in Chile. But that's not the story here. Gallardo has been linked to a possible move to Europe at, a little club in Spain that we've all heard of, Barcelona. Well, now Doble Amarilla in Argentina is linking him potentially to the Bayern Munich job, which Germany has never seen an Argentine manager, ever. It'd be trailblazing stuff for Marcelo Gallardo to make the move to Munich. Now, Doble Amarilla reports that he's just on the list. They're looking at possibilities. They're not going to make a move quickly because they have some board issues to deal with the departure of Uli Hoeneß. They have some other things in-house they've got to deal with first before they get to that. They're not looking to probably make a move anytime soon. So, if Munich waits, if they decide to say, you know what, we'll look at this later on, maybe that gives Gallardo the opportunity to deal with Libertadores, to deal with the end of this Argentine Superliga season, because that's one title that he has not been able to claim, is the league title. And people have questioned, can River Plate do that? Gives him a chance to focus on that. And according to Doble Amarilla, it also gives him an opportunity to be part of determining who will follow him if he makes the move to Germany next summer. If the Barcelona gig becomes available, that might be too hard for him to wait on and say no to. And that, who knows? We'll have to see. Barcelona under a lot of pressure. We know the pressure that La Liga faces, and Nick talked about that in the Espresso portion. Let's dig deep into the mate portion and look down at the league in Argentina. You're going into week 13 of the league season out of 23 match days. So you're a little over halfway through. Argentinos Juniors and Lanús are at the top of the table on 25 points. Argentinos has the slightly better goal differential, +7 to +6. They're at the top. River Plate and Boca Juniors, 24 points, one back. River has a goal differential that is better than anyone in the league at +16. Boca is next at +11, but they're 1 point behind Argentinos and Lanús. Vélez, Racing are 5 and 6, both on 21 points, still in the title race. You go a little bit further back to Estudiantes, Atlético Tucumán, and Talleres on 19, Newell's on 18. That's your top 10. So, the table of matches this weekend. Let's work backwards from the top of the table. Argentinos, they are on the road to 15th placed San Lorenzo, who's on 16 points. Not a bad season for them. And you're on the road, not easy. Argentinos dropped points on the road at Defensa y Justicia on Monday. They're going to need to get maximum points with everybody right there chasing them. They're not going to be able to settle for a draw here. Lanús is at home to Bonfield. Bonfield, 21st place, only 2 wins on the season, 10 points on the year. That feels like a game where you would expect Lanús to get the win. What about River and Boca? What about the heavyweights? River at home to Rosario Central, who is in 13th place, 3 wins on the year. River in a pretty decent spot. Boca, however, the game of the round is Sunday night, where Boca goes to Vélez, number 4, traveling to number 5. That's a heavyweight battle in Argentina this weekend. What about the other teams we always check in on? Defensa y Justicia, they are on the road to Newell's. Newell's is in 10th on the table, but they've had some very poor results as of late. One of the teams that went into their building and kicked them around quite a bit was Gimnasia, who is not on the bottom. They're 1 point ahead of the bottom. They're on 7 points now. Godoy Cruz is on 6. Gimnasia trying to find a way to rescue getting relegated. Diego Maradona trying to pull off the magic trick. They are on the road on Sunday to Aldosivi, who's right there with them. This is a winnable game for Gimnasia, and every win is incredibly valuable when you look at the Promedios table and you look at where things could get bad. Well, Aldosivi is in that spot right now. They are in the 22 spot, which means they would go down. Central Cordoba would go down. They just came up. And Gimnasia would go down. A win for Gimnasia could start to flip that a little bit. Rosario Central with a difficult match. A loss for them, they could slide down a little bit. Bonfield, difficult match. The loss for them, they could slide down a little bit. The other team in the relegation battle is Patronato, and wouldn't you know it, they go to Central de Cordoba. So, you've got some really big matches at the top of the table this weekend, highlighted by Boca and Vélez. You've got some really big matches at the bottom of the table in the relegation battle with Gimnasia and Aldosivi, with Patronato and Central de Cordoba. Very interesting week 13 in Argentina. But the league that I think most people will be looking at this weekend is England and the Premier League, or as Nick would say, England. John Nelson, take it away.
Crumpet.
Thank you, Jason. Time to catch up with, well, let's see, since it's November, I guess we're doing Thanksgiving table stuff when it comes to what we're looking at here with the juice boxes. We'll start with Friday, and honestly, in looking at all of these matches, I'm seeing more draws than I am anything else, because remember, folks, you're talking about international competition that went down earlier in the week, and you're having teams that had to put out first-choice lineups, and maybe some surprises might be in store as well. I'm not necessarily looking for surprises in this early relegation six-pointer with Norwich and Watford. Right now, Norwich at plus 170, Watford is at plus 155, and the draw option is at plus 250. Not really looking for a whole lot of excitement here. Both teams to score, rated by our friends at Bet365 at minus 175, and the over at 2.5 is at minus 150. So looking probably for some offense, maybe a 2-2, something like that. But maybe when it comes to fantasy, start folks like Timu Pukki. At least we could hope so, since that's what I'm doing. On to Saturday, Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Right now, Chelsea's a minus 300 favorite, which for me seems a bit high. But obviously trying to figure out what Crystal Palace's offense is at plus 900. I wouldn't even put Aunt Sally's really weird vegan casserole on Crystal Palace right now at that plus 900 number. The draw's at plus 400, but I still think that Chelsea for the early match on Saturday should be in complete control. A couple of draws on the board. I'm looking at Burnley and West Ham, Newcastle and Bournemouth, just because Turf Moor traditionally a tough place to play, and Newcastle seems to have found their offense recently. Can they continue their recent run of form? Southampton and Everton. This one, to me, I had a slight lean on Everton, so I'm trying to think of what's really kind of mediocre when it comes to the Thanksgiving table. Since I'm not really a fan of certain things like corn casserole. Let's go corn casserole on Everton for the win at plus 145. Southampton is at plus 190. Your draw is at plus 230. The under and the over right now at 2.5. Both are listed at minus 110. So a lot of folks not looking for that one to be the most exciting match in the world. The last 10 o'clocker, Tottenham and Sheffield United. Tottenham at minus 175. That seems about right. Although what we've seen with Chris Wilder this season, plus 500 for the win, plus 300 for the draw. So let's go with Tottenham there, and let's go pumpkin pie with Tottenham at minus 175. Leicester and Arsenal. Leicester right now at plus 100, so a lot of folks are looking at the upheaval that Arsenal is in and banking on Leicester to do the work. I would as well. And for me, that would be probably something along the lines of the canned cranberry. So, and that's the best way to have canned cranberry. Pretty confident in this one. As much as I know folks like to do homemade cranberry sauce and things like that, nothing like it coming out of the can and still looking like the can when it's on the plate. So Leicester at plus 100, the canned cranberry sauce. Arsenal's at plus 250, and the draw's at plus 275. On Sunday, 3 matches. Manchester United and Brighton. Manchester United at minus 167, especially, and that number to me seems a bit high considering they had to play midweek, although they were in control of their match. Brighton to win plus 550, and the draw's at plus 275. Not touching Manchester United and Brighton, not even with Aunt Sally's really weird vegan casserole. Wolves and Aston Villa right now. The Wolves, even though they played on Thursday in the Europa League, are minus 110. Aston Villa plus 320, and the draws at plus 250. And then obviously everybody's looking at the matchup at the end of it all on Sunday, Liverpool and Manchester City. Liverpool plus 162, Manchester City plus 160, and the draws at plus 250. I would honestly sit there and take the lemon meringue pie that shows up, and for me, I would put that on the draw. That's how confident. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot resolved from the weekend when it comes to Liverpool and Manchester City. I still think that the margin's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 when the weekend is done. When you look at activity in the championship, and a couple of numbers stick out to me. Once again, you got Leeds minus 223 going up against Blackburn. So once again, that to me would probably be the lemon meringue pie or something like that on Leeds at plus 223, or minus 223, and not really a whole lot of underdogs looking all that appealing. So it might just be a weekend, maybe short of Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea, the draw at plus 240. With Swansea in their recent run of form, they're still in the promotion playoff picture. Sheffield Wednesday at plus 120 to win. So Swansea might actually be pumpkin pie on the draw option there at the very least at plus 240. So that's your look at the Thanksgiving version, since we're in November, the Thanksgiving version of what the purveyors are thinking. Jason, back to you.
Crumpet Espresso.
So I mentioned Der Klassiker and the Bundesliga and Bayern Munich at the top, also in the mate section of the show. Well, let's get a little caught up on where things stand in the Bundesliga. So Borussia Mönchengladbach is leading the table on 22 points. Borussia Dortmund on 19, RB Leipzig on 18, Bayern Munich on 18, Freiburg on 18, Schalke on 18, Frankfurt on 17, Wolfsburg on 17, Hoffenheim on 17. That takes you down to the midpoint in the table. 5 points separating the top 9 teams. So it's complete and utter chaos. Well, it's going to ramp up a bit this weekend with Bayern Munich hosting Borussia Dortmund. Der Klassiker, the first of the season. Bayern Munich, not with a manager full-time at the moment. The caretaker is Hansi Flick. All right, how long is he going to be there? Well, there were reports yesterday that Bayern Munich turned down Arsene Wenger taking over the job on a phone call with him and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. Okay, maybe. Jose Mourinho still floating around looking for jobs. interested in jobs, would seem to go completely against the personality of Bayern Munich, but stranger things have happened. That seemed to be the case at Madrid as well, and, well, maybe that was actually correct. So has Bayern Munich learned from that? We'll see. Mentioned the Marcelo Gallardo possibility that has been floated out there by Doble Amaria in Argentina, saying that Gallardo could be on the list that will be considered, and maybe now Bayern Munich just decides to wait a little while they get their board and different things in place. The match this weekend, though, it's at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Bayern Munich hosting Borussia Dortmund. Both are absolutely in this race. As we said, Dortmund 3 points back from Mönchengladbach, Bayern Munich 4 points back. It's a very tight race. Munich has been all over the place right now, and I guess the biggest question when it comes to Bayern Munich is, where is their head at the moment? Robert Lewandowski has been in outstanding form. He has scored in every Bundesliga and every Champions League match that he has played this season. Just nuts. What about Borussia Dortmund? It's been this weird thing where you have two teams that are near the top of the table, but it's felt like crisis consistently. I mean, you hear the crisis and you're like, okay, these two teams have to be near the bottom of the table. Well, they're not. Like, they're both right there. So does one go into crisis if there is an outcome here, if there is a winner here? Potentially. And that's the pressure that you deal with here. For Dortmund, Jadon Sancho, Marco Reus, both injury concerns. They're expected to play. Dortmund has not beaten Bayern Munich away in the league since February of 2011. That was their first league win at Bayern Munich in 20 years. So a draw based off the history would probably feel pretty good here for Borussia Dortmund. A draw for Bayern Munich would not feel good at all because that's just where they're at this point. Lucien Favre, the manager for Borussia Dortmund, he said, "We have respect for Bayern, but we are not afraid. We have completed a third of the season. It was a difficult phase, but it is better now, and we want to continue like that." Can they? Find out. It'll be on the Fox family of networks. Big match in the Bundesliga this weekend. 12:30 Saturday, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Manchester City, Liverpool. We'll be talking about the craziness of Boca and Vélez in Argentina. We'll be talking about everything out of La Liga. Unfortunately, we will probably be talking about two of our favorite topics on soccer over there for the live show on Monday. The managerial carousel. We'll see if anybody else spins off of it this weekend. And we'll probably be talking about racism in Italy because that has been a consistent topic all season long. I really hope it's not. Fingers crossed. I'm not optimistic about that. Join us at the Brewhouse on Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. You can buy one of our wonderful, fabulous, amazing Holding Midfielders Appreciation Society scarves. If you come out and join us, you can hop on a mic. You can talk about your team, your league, why it's important, what you like about it, what you're angry about it. We can get into all that. We'll probably talk about VAR, too, because we always seem to do that as well. Come out and join us on Monday. If you can't, you can listen live or on demand on the SDH app and soccerdownhere.net and Spreaker. You can check out our new store on Teespring and get any other shirts that you would like to get to represent your SDH fandom. We appreciate all of y'all, and we'll be back on Monday. Until then,
Crumpet
Espresso.